You're listening to Kickoff on talkSPORT. That was the voice of Jermaine Pennant, Liverpool fan and former player. I'm Hugh Wizencroft. We're discussing Manchester United this hour. Let's hammer through some of your calls. Dan, Manchester United fan, how much responsibility should the manager take?
As much as he ever should. The thing is, it's not just about the manager or the players. It's way deeper than that. It's why we've had problems since Ferguson. We've got this culture, and it's a culture of expectation. And it's not just the players that come there and expect to be the best that they can be. It's not just the fan base or the media. It's the whole thing. And there's no way changing the manager right now is going to change it. The players are all great. The manager's great. They're all well proven for years already in their own thing. They're obviously great players. The only way we're going to change this is if we change the whole culture. So we drop them down to either the Championship or maybe the league below that and get them playing for their lives again and then let them work their way back up. By the time they come back up, they'll be brilliant. They'll be winning it.
They'll be winning what? Well, these. Wait.
You're advocating relegation.
Yes.
So if these players got relegated, you think they'll come straight back up, win the league championship, then come into the Premier League and be on fire?
No, I don't think they'll come straight back up. I think they'll have to grind for it. I think they'll have to learn what it is to actually grind away at it and learn how to be a team and play gritty, dirty, hard football and actually learn how everyone else in the country learns how to play football.
I don't think they need to get relegated for that. They should be doing that anyway. This is the Premier League, this is the top tier, so you should be playing like that anyway. You shouldn't need to get relegated. And I do think that, yes, the players need to be accountable and also the manager. If you look at Brighton, the style of football they play, you watch, you enjoy it. But if you go deep, that squad is probably not better than Manchester United. So why is not Manchester United playing that kind of floaty of football? It's all down to tactics, formation, the way they set up, the imagination of Ten Hag. It's just, it's not working with the current set of players.
But then, so then you're saying that it's Ten Hag's fault and it's the players' fault. But the problem is we've gone round and round about this for years and years since Fergie left, with different managers and different players. For me, it's a much bigger thing, and the only way you're going to change that is reminding them all from the inside about what it is to grind away again. And you're right, tactically, there's stuff we haven't seen from Ten Hag yet, and also players, we've definitely seen weakness from different players. But Fergie regularly won stuff. Yes, he had some superstars there, but he also had some bang average players who bought into the idea of playing for a team and a winning mentality. And actually, these players all need to go back to that same thing of learning how to play together again as a unit and playing some hard, gritty football. And of course, I don't want them to be relegated because I've been an armchair fan for over 30 years. But I do strongly think that if you relegate them down and you get them to actually play out of their skins together because they all need to together, they'll actually learn how to play for each other and with each other again. Just changing the manager or just changing the players, it's something we've already done. It doesn't work.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. Would you say that Bruno Fernandes, your captain, has got that winning, fighting mentality?
Oh, my God. I mean, he drives me nuts.
Right, well, there you go. There's one major issue. If your captain is not that guy, then you're just fighting a losing battle.
But you know what? When we were winning, when things were happening, when he appeared and Ronaldo wasn't around for a while and Fernandes was banging those penalties in one after another, he was absolutely the man we wanted the captain because he was an absolute player. But now we're seeing him all falling apart and rolling around the ground. It's driving us all nuts, obviously. But any one of these players we can have a go at and say they're not doing what they're meant to be doing, because ultimately they're all suffering from the same thing that we're all suffering from, which is that we can't believe it's not working out. And as a result, there's this negative thing that's hanging over everyone. And that's not going to change unless there's a big wholesale change. And I don't think a change to the manager or a change to a couple of players is going to change that. I think it needs to go back to ground zero and start again and let them play grassroots football. Part of the problem as well is that they've all been playing on sort of carpet since they were 12 years old. And actually, Danny Murphy was talking the other night about having to wear another player's boots in for a while when he first got into playing for a club.
Listen, I get your argument on that, Dan. But the players at other football clubs have been in very similar environments for their entire careers, and yet they're still working, they're still running, they're still tracking back, and yet the players at Manchester United don't seem to want to do that. So it's not, it's definitely not. It's not that. There is a cultural issue. Let's speak to Marcus, who's an Arsenal fan, getting involved in the conversation. Maybe you can shed some light on what's wrong at Old Trafford.
Hi guys, how you both doing?
Good evening.
Oh, good, thank you.
Good. I think the previous caller's right. I think culturally, fundamentally, foundations are just rotten at the club. There used to be an aura of invincibility, let's say, around the club when Ferguson and the previous hierarchy was in charge. But it just seems at the moment it's just stale, and I don't think it's going to change with just sacking the manager, changing the players. I think inherently there's something wrong, and that's only going to change once the accountability from the top is being taken into consideration, because it's not going to change in any time soon. I think all of us can agree on that, and I know you guys have a different opinion to say that the hierarchy is not really responsible for what happens on the pitch, but there must be some disconnect there that's causing this problem with the players, with the manager, and with the team. If you look at some of the players that have been brought into the club, consummate professionals over the years that have just down tools from the moment they've got in. For example, Angel Di Maria was there for a short stint and couldn't wait to get out of the club. So culturally, there must be something, just very rotten and smelly when players get in there.
I think it is to do with the players, and I think it is to do with overall. Because if you look at when Jurgen Klopp took over at Liverpool and his tenure now, there is not a single player there still. So he came in, he got rid of all the deadwood that was there, brought in his players. He's got a great recruitment team behind him who said, right, go and get Mo Salah, go and get Mane, and build around that. Those players, from when he first took over, are gone. So he came in, he saw what he needed, had a massive clear out to put Liverpool where they are now. So it is down to getting new players, freshen up a lot, not 1, 2 or 3. You've got to take the squad, and if that's going to take 3 years, then that may be.
This is the thing, though, it is about having that clear direction and everyone being on the same page. That hasn't happened at Manchester United. Yeah. To blame the Glazers, though, and I get it, there are many reasons why the Glazers shouldn't be at Manchester United, but in terms of the specific football, there has been enough money spent, albeit it's not their own money. There's been enough investment, if you want to call it that, into new players that makes you think, had there been any direction during that period of time, had there been a cohesion, had there been reasonable contracts given out instead of ridiculous contracts going out, which meant that we could actually sell some of the players who didn't work out instead of being, lumped with them year after year after year. Had there been any direction during that period of time, Manchester United wouldn't have been in the same place they are now. They might not have been back winning the biggest trophies, but they wouldn't be where they are right now. This has been a problem that just happens over and over and over and over, because they've left themselves in the same situation time and time again by not forward planning, by not being on the same page, by not evolving the football club, basically, is what I'm saying. And that, I guess, comes down to not necessarily the Glazers, but those that they hired. Now, if you want to blame them for not making the changes, then I can agree with you on that. But there has to be some responsibility for the people that have been in the role. Richard Arnold, John Murtough, right now. What are you producing for this football team? What do you have to say about it? We don't even hear that. And I think that's one of the reasons there's a cultural issue at Manchester United right now.